Today we're going to talk about Ruth and Naomi. Naomi, her husband, and her two sons lived in Bethlehem. That's a familiar place, right? You can think about who was born in Bethlehem. But there was a famine there, and so they had to leave and move, and they moved to Moab. And they did much better there. But after a few years, Naomi's husband died, but she still had her two sons. And so they grew up and took two wives in Moab. One was named Orpah and the other was named Ruth. But then those sons also died. And Naomi heard that back at Bethlehem, things had gotten much better. There was no longer a famine. So she told her daughter-in-laws that she was going to go back home to Bethlehem. Both of them said, well, we'll go with you. And she said, no, you stay here. This is your home. And finally, Orpah decided she would stay behind, but Ruth insisted that she would go with Naomi. And she did. And that's an example of compassion. That's an example of presence. Have you ever heard the word ministry of presence? That means being there. In school, if you're in school, if they still call the roll, they did in my day, the teacher would call out a name and the student would either say here or present. Present means that they're there. And being present for someone else is showing compassion, just like Ruth. It may be like if someone loses, like Naomi did, she lost her husband and her sons. Ruth was there to comfort her. And we can do the same thing. There's all kinds of situations. Maybe there's a divorce. So you need to let your friend know that you care. Or maybe just during these times of the COVID-19 virus, we can be there for one another. And that's kind of hard to do because we can no longer hug one another. We can't even reach out with a comforting hand and pat the shoulder of another a lot of times. And with these masks, it makes it even harder because the other person can't even see if we're smiling. So what can we do? Well, I have a couple of suggestions of things that we can do. Well, you can always show the peace sign. That's something we Christians do regularly, or when we can worship in church. Or maybe you can say, I love you. Or something I learned from the First Nation folks when I was in Canada was that I hold you in my heart. You may have ideas of other ways that you can do this. So hopefully this week you can show your compassion by being present for one another. I thank you for this time.